Oh,
Hand.
in his pocket, with thumb in his pocket.
You put the whole hand in there, then I might believe you have Kanka. Mr. Yamashiro stood up gracefully.
Oh,
I'm good, thanks, she replied before turning and walking out of the faculty room.
huh, yeah, not voiced on that bit.
He had been waiting for about an hour. While he did, the rain shower lightened into a drizzle. His mind wandered as he listened to the sound of the raindrops.
Okay.
The room was filled with neatly arranged rectangular tables. Alice, that was the name.
Alice, okay. That's her roommate.
Yeah.
So that doesn't look like a student council room.
He was the only one there.
Some kind of conference room, I guess?
Quite some time had passed since he'd been brought to this room and asked to wait. Even the best behaved student might have grown dissatisfied or anxious with the situation by now, but the boy stuck to his spot like a scarecrow. He was chilled to the bone.
Did he walk here without an umbrella or something?
It was the end of November, and the low temperature in the morning had marked the start of winter. The room wasn't much warmer. The heater hadn't been turned on.
Oh, God.
Either he'd missed the teacher telling him to turn it on, or he'd never seen one in his life.
What?
He breathed lightly on his freezing fingers as he aimlessly surveyed his surroundings. This dreary place was apparently a meeting room. The other students might have considered it a wonderful place to meet, but to him, it was drab and overly spacious. It was a lifeless place that reminded him of an arid cave. Stuck in this cold room with absolutely nothing to do, his mind turned to what they wanted to discuss. Unable to come up with a solid answer, he returned his attention to the sound of the rain and the soccer pitch outside, apparently.
Yeah, wow, look at that.
The rain hardly resembled the rain in the mountains, though he could still recognize it. Barely. Its smell and sound were harsher, but at the end of the day, rain was still rain. Colette is Colette. So even this world, alien as it was, could have something in common with the mountains.
Okay.
That is peculiar phraseology. Are the mountains in a different world?
Well, no, I guess he's just really not used to urban environments.
That trivial detail perked him up a little. He liked how the town looked soaked in rain. Naturally, he preferred sunny weather, but he liked rain in his own way. The fog from the rain had soaked up the scent of the soil, and it reminded him of home. It was at times like these that he was able to numb the anxiety the city gave him.
Yeah, he's really not used to this still, huh?
But then, he let out a discouraged sigh. How pathetic. He'd already been here 2 weeks, and thoughts of his hometown still made him sad.
2 weeks isn't that long, buddy.
Perhaps feeling that he was being unfair to his new life, he composed himself and continued to wait patiently.
Oh, and I don't get to see his face yet either.
As if having a passion for distractions, his attention returned to the sound of the rain once more. Waiting like this didn't seem to be particularly hard for him. He quietly endured the numbing cold and the hour alone with calm, deep breaths. As the saying goes, good things come to those who wait. A strong point of his or not, he was astonishingly patient. It was certainly helping him out in this moment.
Oh. Aided to focus on outside, okay. Oh.
She, on the other hand, was livid. The profile of the transfer student had been explained to her on her way to the meeting room. She was told he'd lived his whole life up in the mountains without any electricity.
Oh, wow, this is really different for him then.
That meant more than half of civilized society would have been an utter mystery to him.
なんて絶望的な断絶。戦後どころか戦前の話じゃない。ロビンソンにも程がある。
Wow, did she actually say Robinson Crusoe?
She had every right to be angry.
Ooh, nice shot.
His village had apparently remained isolated in the mountains for many years. Contact with villages in the foothills of the mountains only occurred once a month or so, which was unfathomable in modern Japan. Although expressways and Japan Rail, the old national railways, now spanned the country like arteries, it wasn't entirely impossible for mountain villages like his to exist. Blatantly, because he lived there.
Well, yeah.
But she couldn't imagine how someone born to such circumstances would think or live.
電気がないって。村に行き渡っていないだけで公衆電話ぐらいはあったんですよね。
なかったそうだよ。こっちに暮らすようになってまず驚いたのが電話だそうだし。電話って便利ですねなんて真顔で言われてね。そういえばそうだなぁと再確認させられたぐらいだよ。
She shot a sidelong glare his way as he laughed. It seemed that the naivete of the country boy had cheered up Mr. Yamashiro a bit.
駐在もいないってことか。うちも実家は山奥ですから、電気が通っていないのはありえないとは言いませんけど。そいつ、学校も知らないんですか？
どんなものかは知っていたそうだけど、実際来るのは今日が初めてらしい。それで緊張していたのかな。あまり会話も弾まなかった。
Everybody was homeschooled.
ああいうのも野生児っていうのかな。
Wow.
狼に育てられた狼少年みたいな。いや、探検隊の話だね。
Okay.
怖いな、青崎くん。冗談だって。そう睨まないでくれ。
Please don't beat me up.
大丈夫。話してみた感じ、おとなしい子だったから。なんていうか、言葉の通じない小動物みたいな感じ。
Jeez.
She gets in the room and he just chirps at her like a bird.
山城先生、その例え、気休めになってませんから。
As she gave her blunt reply, she tried to simulate in her mind what life without electricity would be like, but the thought of it took her sour mood from bad to worse.
Yeah.
After all, it was a world she had never known.
Yeah, even your home up in the mountains had electricity and stuff.
She could understand why the teachers had given up. She, too, wanted to give up and return to her warm bed, but her good-for-nothing pride was holding her hostage. Not only did the teachers believe she was up to the task, but she also believed she could do it. It wasn't that easy to go back on her word, no matter how bad things looked after the fact. She walked along the hallway, the rain pattering in the background. The meeting room was already in sight. With a furrowed brow, she fixed her long hair in anticipation of meeting the unknown stranger within. Her elegant strides were like those of a confident general going into battle.
いや、青崎くん、君を信頼してる僕だけど、念のため確認しておくよ。なんていうか、優しくね。
We're trying not to frighten the feral child.
作れないかな。
We don't know if he'll try to kill us.
作り笑いは苦手です。一応努力しているつもりですが。
ああ、そうなんだ。それはよかった。いやー、ほんとよかった。青崎くんにも苦手なものってあったんだね。
Mr. Yamashiro's shoulders slumped the second they reached the meeting room. As he put his hand to the door, his eyes seemed to say to her, "Be nice, please." This only made her more irritated.
わかってるわよ。愛想が悪いってのは。でも笑顔なんて意識して作るものじゃないんだし。だいたいそういうインスタントな人付き合いなら飛び丸の方が向いてるって。
Yeah, get Toby Maru over here. She sighed about her social shortcomings, but then it occurred to her that being called into school on a day off while sleep-deprived wasn't anything to smile about anyway. She also thought the person responsible for this mess would be better off attending elementary school. It might not be his fault, but neither was it her duty or obligation to do the teacher's work for them. At the very least, they could have used their brains and organized all this on a normal school day. Another complaint she wanted to voice later.
Yeah, really.
いや、というか敵。何であろうと敵。
It sounds like the teachers are your sworn
上場
enemy.
酌量以前に敵。
Okay.
が悪いのはお互い様っていうか、本当なんでよりにもよってこんな忙しいと。
You busy?
Yes, I was very busy sleeping. Her pounding headache from a lack of sleep had boosted her aggression by 10%. No matter how harmless a guy on the other side of the door may be, anyone who disrupted her sleep was the enemy.
She is a bit like Rin.
And just as she was reaching peak annoyance, Mr. Yamashiro opened the door to the meeting room. The room slowly slid into view. She didn't care for formalities. Just looked straight ahead and stormed into the room, and found herself face to face with a most unusual opponent. Before we go on, let's see from another perspective. Turning back the clock just a little. You don't have to do anything. For some reason, these words are...
For some.
Oh, for some, these words are priceless luxury. For others, they are unbearable torture. For the proactive girl, it was definitely the former, though she'd be too suspicious of the motives of anyone giving her such a gift to accept it.
Yeah.
For the passive boy, it was definitely the latter, a bitter thorn that made him homesick. Though at this very moment his mind was still distracted with the wait for his face to reveal any discontent. He maintained perfect posture as he stared at the gray sky. He'd already waited a whole hour, but figured they must have had their reasons for making him wait, like not being able to get a hold of anyone, and then them having to travel to school. And as long as he had the sound of the rain to soothe him, he could keep on waiting.
でもそろそろ9時を過ぎるのか。どうなんだろ
He'd been vaguely keeping track of the time as he listened to the rain. Due to the holiday, the school building was completely silent. Also, still, what is that thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Except for the patter of the rain on the window. The mood felt as damp as the air. It was then he heard the heavy clatter of footsteps approaching.
う。よかった。忘れられているかと思った。
He could hear two sets of footsteps, one heavier set belonging to an adult. He breathed a sigh of relief as the door slid open.
Oh, he stepped away
す
from
ま
the
ない
window.
ね。随分とお待たせしちゃって。
The first person he saw was a man wearing glasses and an awkward smile. That's Mr. Yamashiro, the one who brought me here.
ってあれ里中先生いないんですか
Oh.
ひどいな。話し相手に
Oh,
なって
there was
あげ
another
てと言った
teacher
のに
there.
Mr. Yamashiro scratched his head, looking increasingly apologetic. And then, from behind him, with a tight-lipped expression that made it clear she didn't want to be there, a dark-haired girl with a determined look in her eyes appeared.
Ooh, he's got something around his neck there.
Yeah, some kind of bandage. Okay, we're still cutting off at her
Oh,
nose.
there's his face.
Aha!
I see.
Sojiro gulped. The sound of the rain on the window faded into nothingness. That's when he knew. This was how it felt when time stood still.
Huh. There she is.
There's the face.
Waited until he saw her, okay.
She blinked quickly a few times as if taken aback. Why was anyone's guess? The boy was everything she expected a naive country boy to look like. However, she felt something she couldn't understand. His eyes widened slightly, as if taken aback. The reason was obvious. Putting his feelings into words was a different matter altogether, so we will never know exactly what he experienced in that moment.
Okay.
Lust.
Well,
I mean, he's a
horny? Yeah.
like 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
That's when it hit him. He sensed he'd been touched by the hands of destiny.
Uh-huh.
紹介するよ。彼が転入生の静木宗十郎くん。
Shizuki?
Shizuki.
で、こっちの彼女が静木くんの案内役。うちの生徒会長で休日を押して
Student Council
新しい
President.
仲間の案内役を買って出てくれた青崎青子くんだ。
His voice and the sound of the rain seemed distant. This is how they first met. Such was their start, for better or worse, like the ephemeral beauty of fireworks. It was commonly believed among the students that Aoko was always in a foul mood. But this gossip was 90% prejudice, as Aoko simply didn't have time to be irritated 24/7.
Right. Just 23/7.
The reality was she simply didn't want to explain herself all the time, and therefore seemed angry about something, obvious or not. This idle gossip did, however, lead to her earning the title of one of the school's 7 deadly threats.
Okay.
The remaining 10% of the gossip was right on the mark. Aoko herself often had the feeling that her tendency to feel animosity toward harmless things was akin to what a chronic headache sufferer might experience. Today fell under that 10%. For today, her anger was pure, and her childish and selfish display was befitting of her actual age. The meeting room was dimly lit, awash in the colors of the rain. To reduce electricity costs, school regulations forbid the use of lights during the day.
Jeez.
This was the setting the three of them found themselves in. Her first impression was that this calm demeanor reminded her of a field of wildflowers. In spite of his perfect posture, he seemed subdued and frail, like he'd had some kind of neck injury. And though describing him as meek would be going too far, at the very least he was passive. Even through his uniform, she could see that he was thinner than average.
Well, yeah.
His dark hair was unkempt, and he came across as a wholly forgettable boy. If she had to look at him in a more positive light, she would describe him more a young man than a boy.
Yeah, you can see that band, like the little thin clasp holding it on there.
It was his calm demeanor that made him seem more mature.